This is tonight's story. Now, at school here, we've been learning all about today. It's a very special day because it is World Earth Day. So it is Earth Day 2020, and it's a special one because it's actually 50 years of celebrating Earth Day, and it's giving us a chance to all think about what we can do to help look after the planet that we live on. Now, I've got a really special story that links to the idea of looking after our planet, and it's all about a man who plants lots and lots of lovely trees, and it's called, funnily enough, The Man Who Planted Trees. It's by a French author called Jean Genot. I hope you enjoy it. Here it is.
That was funny.
100 years ago, there was a man called Jean-Paul. Can you see him? Here he is, right on the path there. Who went on a long walk through the hills of southern France. The land wasn't very green, and in fact, all he could see growing on these bare hills were scrubby bits of wild lavender and very little else. There were hardly any trees at all. Tired from his long morning's walk, Jean-Paul came to a village. There it is. Unfortunately, he soon realised that it was deserted. There was nobody living there.
Just deserted.
There was nobody there. So there was a village with houses, and I think there was an old church, but there was nobody there. It was deserted. No one was living there because there was nothing growing on the land around. The ruined houses all huddled together and were silent. There were no roofs to give protection from the cruel wind that was blowing, no trees to shade him from the sun, and the natural spring, which is where we get fresh water from, where the villagers used to get their water, had dried up. He'd had no water to drink since the previous day, so he walked on. There he is. After 5 more hours, he spotted a lone shepherd who was looking after his sheep. The shepherd had a weather-beaten but kind face. Oh, kindness, that's our value at the moment, isn't it? He had a kind face and a gentle manner. He gave the stranger, so Jean-Paul, a drink from his water bottle and then invited him to share some of his soup. Oh, a bit like Alfie's chocolate soup today. The shepherd's name was Elzéard. They entered the shepherd's stone house, and Jean-Paul soon forgot the bleak, that's the really bare, wild landscape outside. The house was clean, neat, friendly and warm. It was a safe place to rest for the night before carrying on his journey. After they had eaten, Elzéard fetched a little bag and emptied a pile of acorns onto the table. Can you see? Have you guys seen acorns before?
Yeah.
You collected them. We might see if we can find some outside. When he had collected a large enough pile of good acorns, he divided them up into groups of 10. So he'd separated the good acorns from the bad and piled them into groups of 10. Once he'd sorted out 100 perfect acorns, he stopped and went to bed. The next day, after taking care of his sheep, the shepherd took the little bag of acorns and dipped it into a bucket of water. Then off he went. Curious to see what Elzéard was going to do with the acorns, Jean-Paul went with him. Soon, Elzéard began making holes in the ground. He put an acorn into each hole and covered it with soil. Jean-Paul realised the shepherd was planting oak trees. The acorns are little seeds, they're going to grow into big oak trees. He watched as the shepherd planted all 100 acorns with great care. Elzéard told Jean-Paul that he'd been planting trees in the wilderness for 3 years. And in that time, he had planted a total of 100,000 acorns. The shepherd said that when he first came to the area, he noticed that this part of the country was dying because there weren't any trees. And having nothing better to do, he decided to put things right. Jean-Paul thanked the shepherd for his kindness and continued on his journey over the hills. 10 years later, Jean-Paul returned to the area. Can you guess what it looked like? What do you like? Shall we find out? This time, when he reached the deserted village, Jean-Paul could see that the previously barren, bare landscape had been transformed by small trees. Oh, so that is what a young forest looks like, he said to himself. He then saw the shepherd in the distance. They walked to where the carefully selected acorns had been planted all those years ago to see the young oak trees. They were taller than both of them. And over the next few years, the young trees continued to grow and grow and grow until the area became a wonderful green forest. Families with children started coming back to the area, and the wildlife, all the lovely creatures, came back too. And instead of big rough gusts of wind blowing over the empty landscape, there were soft scented breezes, and the wind in the trees sounded like running water. Indeed, water did flow again, once again from the springs that were previously dry, and people repaired the ruined houses. Hope had returned, and the area grew healthy and prosperous, all because of the man who planted trees. The